Emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
Energy on the truck, boy.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Grizzly's Paranormal and True Crimes with Shalyn and Rodgers. Boy, do we have a show. It's an extension from the last show. Very interesting, I will say. We have a team of psychics put up. So I do not know what's going to happen. Interesting. Waiting for Shay to come on right now.
Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation.
Give her a second. Where's everybody from? I'm from Northern Kentucky, so that's where I'm broadcasting from. Northern Kentucky.
This is not a test.
So yeah.
This is your emergency broadcast.
Wait for Shay to come on. There she is, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give her a round of applause here. I can hit the right button here. Okay, there we go. Hello there. How you doing?
Sorry, modern technology.
Yeah, right. So I was telling everybody that this is going to be a very interesting show. You see, they already got a panel of psychics coming on.
Yes, I saw that.
Group. So I told everybody not to talk to anybody. Keep everything hush. Don't even tell me, because I don't want people to read my minds and stuff. So, right.
Absolutely.
So what's going on with you?
Nothing much. Nothing much at all.
Anything interesting?
Not really.
So where do you want to start tonight's show off, right?
Yeah. You want to start now, or were you having the psychics come on?
Nah, we're going to do that next week. They're all right now doing their homework. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the psychics, they go by different ways. Let's see here. Brenda. Hello, Brenda. Barely sitting up right now. So I know Sportcat, like, is he coming? Or is he coming? Is he not? I still got time, so bear with me. So each psychic that works on this case does different things. They either need just a first name, just a picture with no names, or a first name and a date of birth. And that's how they retrieve their information. So as we bring the psychics on next week, they will introduce themselves. They will tell you what method they use and how they retrieve their information. So it's going to be very interesting. And a couple of them had to tell me what they found, and I was like, ah! So I'll leave it at that. So we may have to bring up the show into 2 segments. That's how many psychics we have working on it. Yes.
Yeah, I saw a lot of messages.
So have you contacted the family at all?
I've sent messages. I've not gotten a response.
Well, one thing I can say is I think the family should be involved. If not, they're going to find the video. So
well, I hope so. And we're doing good for them. You know, we're trying, but I'm kind of limited with as far as the personal information. I can only go by what I have access to. And I would really love to help them, you know, and I did express that in my message, you know, and told them that we're not asking for money, no donations, you know, this is purely being done out of the goodness of our hearts.
Oh, so absolutely,
I'm really
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. And I did tell them that, you know, I am local. I live right from the next city over. I've been active in the case since the beginning. I'm still active. Like anything that comes up, like I pull up to try to find out more information because, you know, it's upsetting. It's very upsetting. So I really hope I will keep trying. Unfortunately, because of all of the stuff they've experienced, they might have just stopped answering altogether. Any social media has not been active for a while. So I don't know if they've shut, I mean, it's still open, but I don't know if they're just ignoring because of all the publicity. Yeah. So, and I figure because the Jalen Brazier was just released, I'm sure that's a hit on them as well. So maybe they're just kind of staying away. So who knows?
Bring everybody up to speed that doesn't know what we talked about last week.
Zion Foster. She was a 17-year-old girl that went missing last January. Her cousin.
January 4th.
Yep. Very good. Good job. And she was only supposed to be gone for a couple hours to run an errand with her cousin. Her cousin never dropped her off, and he was released from jail after doing 10 months. He did a special program, like it's similar to boot camp. It's a 9-day program. And he was just released in this last March, in the middle of March. So that's what I'm saying, that's still fresh. I mean, we're still in March. So you're talking a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, his release. And I think maybe that might be playing a role in not getting a response at the moment, because I'm sure it's very overwhelming with all the stuff they're going through.
So, ladies and gentlemen, basically what he told under oath in court of law, that they were smoking marijuana and she just dropped dead, and he panicked, and allegedly under oath, he testified him and someone else rolled her up in the area carpet rug in the living room and vacated the property with the body into the trunk of his vehicle and dumped her in a dumpster. And that was it. And he told the judge he panicked. He didn't know what to do. His life was over. But then he contradicted himself that he had to sit there and stop and think what to do. And I played the video. And matter of fact, maybe I should play the video again. So while you're talking, I'll pull it up.
Yes, he didn't. I don't think he didn't say in court, he didn't implicate anybody else, but the girlfriend was present with him, and the girlfriend was also caught on the Ring camera from the neighbor's house carrying the rolled up carpet out and disposing. She has not been charged. There's been no other individual charged with anything. And all he was charged with was lying to a peace officer, and
which is a misdemeanor.
Yes. And what was the other one?
Law.
In a special, in what was the other one, Chris? It was impeding a investigation.
Investigation, yeah.
Yes, but he was never charged with abuse of a corpse or any other thing regarding her death or putting the body elsewhere other than calling the coroner. And there's been nobody else charged. He did not admit to doing anything with Zion because up until the court date, he consistently told them that he did not know where she was at, and that it went from he dropped her off to they hadn't talked in months. Then it went to a year. They don't talk at all. And there was just too much evidence against him showing that little statement was a lie in itself because of the text messaging, and the other people knowingly said that was not true. And then after, when they're investigating him before he was even arrested for lying, his mother, which is the cousin of the Zian's father, they were calling them and basically saying, your girl's dead. You got what you deserve. I mean, because there was a family feud going on. So nothing added up. So when he was going to take the plea or confess to like lying to the peace officer because the evidence was overwhelming, that is when anybody heard Zian's mother was sitting in court. And that is when he told the judge that he had disposed of her body because he panicked because they were smoking marijuana, and she just stopped breathing. That was the first time anybody heard anything, including Zian's mom.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's the footage to make sure. I don't know if it hit the audio button. Shane, let me know if you can hear the audio.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
Yes, I can.
Did turn myself in. Yes, I
Okay,
lied,
here we go.
I was not in the right state of mind. There was no way for me to prepare for a situation like that. I was scared.
I'm not totally clear on the situation. And the report is rather sketchy with respect to the situation.
And I will fill Your Honor in on some of those details.
Appreciate it. But what the report suggests is that you had contact with the individual. The police questioned you regarding that contact. You didn't tell them the truth associated with the contact. Then you, once confronted with information that you were not telling the truth, you came forward and told them that you disposed of the body. I mean, that's all. That leaves a whole lot out there that's unaccounted for from the court's perspective. But what circumstances are you talking about?
Well, when she died, it was just random. Like from my end of it.
What do you mean?
I was terrified. Literally from that point on, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't in the right state of mind for anything. And I turned myself and they didn't present me with anything. After getting my thoughts together.
After getting my thoughts together.
I don't know exactly how she passed, what caused her to pass. I just know 1 minute she was cool, she was fine. She laid back for a minute. Next thing I know, she was dead. I don't know what caused it. I did not cause it or anything like that. I reacted stupidly off of fear and panic like I've never felt before in my life. Literally.
I mean, people are sitting around and somebody just passes. I mean, did you think about calling 911 or something like that?
No, not at the time. We were smoking. We were on marijuana as well. So my mental state wasn't in any like logical spectrum. I was just immediately just terrified. Like that's the only words I can use to describe the moment.
Are you telling me that you're stoned, she's stoned, you think she dies, and then you dispose of the body?
Look at the hesitation.
That was your choice?
I sat for a minute and I didn't know what to do. I was like, I just did not know what to do. It's like,
I mean, the first thing that came to your mind, I'm trying to understand with the limited information I have, that this person passed away in your presence. And your first thought is, well, I got to get rid of the body.
My first thought was how bad it looked to start with. It's like, how do I explain like what happened? I don't know why she died or what it caused her to die. And just a lot of possibility just popped in my head, and I was just reacting off of just innate fear. I don't know. Literally, I don't do anything. I just didn't know what to do. Literally, I did not know what to do. I sat for at least 10 minutes sitting there.
Sat
what
for
do I
10
do?
minutes,
Who do I
ladies
call?
and gentlemen.
My kids were
10 minutes.
upstairs. We just got into this place after struggling for like 2 years to get it, and everything is falling down.
I won't have any conversation in this court.
And I wish I could take it back. I would have called the ambulance, called her mom. Her mom's so sweet. Her mom is so sweet. I just knew. I wish I could take it back. Nobody been in the situation. At the very least, they'd be like, okay, this happened, confirm this. And everybody has some sort of peace right now, you know? But I just didn't know what to do. It's not something, I mean, like in life, you try to mentally prep for a lot of situations. But when one that you just would never have even thought to happen just happens. And you're like, wow, immediately the first thing comes to your mind is everything about to lose, how it's going to affect your kids, your life in general. And then after that, how it's flipped when whoever, it's like play telephone and change many times. Facebook, everything, just a lie hitting me at once. So I had to just take time and try to get my thoughts together because I was on panic mode.
Take time to get my thoughts
Her
together.
mom at one point talked to me and I couldn't bring myself, like, your daughter just died.
But it's better that you dumped her in a dumpster.
And I can't even explain it. What happened? I just can tell you my honest reaction.
Anything further?
On my client's behalf, Your Honor, I can say this: that every interaction I've had with him, whether it's over the phone, via Zoom, or personal jail visits, is the same reaction. I wish you could take it all back. And we know that's not possible, but if there's one person that might deserve to be able to take it back, he doesn't, because he's showed nothing but regret, sorrow, and just the utter confusion on his own actions. You know, he expressed me on multiple occasions, I can't believe I did what I did. I still can't believe it because I'm not that person. And I don't believe a lot of my clients because they're always just trying to get over, trying to decrease their time in jail or prison or whatever it might be. This gentleman.
What kind of attorney says that?
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, when I first played this video on our first show regarding this case, I about fell out because basically what this attorney is saying that all my other clients are lying through their teeth, but this guy is being honest, and I feel he's being truthful, and he is not that guy, Your Honor. He is not that guy. So what he's doing, ladies and gentlemen, in a court of law is he is setting precedents for future cases. And that, I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Very well, Mr. Prosecutor.
Attention speakers, coaches, authors, and consultants.
And we're going to say bye to you. So let me get back to our screen. But I can't even hold my mouth still. But yeah, but that was like really interesting. You know, I mean, it just floored me. He is crying because he got caught. Well, I'm not going to reveal any police secrets, Brenda, but you know, when somebody cries and stuff and something else doesn't happen, you know they're lying because you're in law enforcement for I don't know how many years as well. So, but yeah, I mean, Shay, what do you think about all this?
It's hard for me to even understand, but to even believe, because to get my thoughts together, I panicked. I don't know what she died from. Well, and he said, my actions.
I sat there for 10 minutes.
It's your actions, your consequences, period. At any point when you were gathering your thoughts together from January all the way through that court date, in what critical thinking pattern in analyzing did you come up with that you should continue lying and continue not letting them know that she was dumped in a dumpster?
Now, wasn't there a time period that she was actually missing?
Yeah.
From...
Yeah, she was missing. Nobody knew what happened to her until that court date. That is the first time it was revealed that she is dead. She was smoking marijuana. She died. I didn't know what to do. I put them in.
Allegedly, she died. We'll put it that way. Now, Shay also found out during her research. Now, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. that the police department, they went through the city dump, not with their money, not with the taxpayers' money,
No, after the dump, the landfill, they went to multiple landfills.
but with whose money?
With the city's money. And after
No,
they
with
used up so much,
donations.
that no, after,
$453,000.
yep, it started off with their money, but then they said that the budget was gone. So then they started saying that they're going to call it off. So that's when the donations came in.
That is correct. I apologize.
Yes,
corrected.
because they were saying, well, it costs money. It was hot, and we have to have ice. We have to have tents put up. Like, really? We're talking about you failed. You failed at your investigation from the initial report of the missing, and then on top of it, it went to the different county. Remember? So now you have 2 different police departments, and Detroit. Because that's where she was dumped, somewhere in Detroit. Detroit is a huge city that a lot of things happen and go on. So then it went back to the other county, Macomb, which is right outside of Detroit, where she was from, where she was picked up from. And they were going back and forth, back and forth. So between the county's money and going to all these landfills, finally, that's when they said, we're going to end this because we've used this much money. And that's when donations and GoFundMe was set up, as well as volunteers.
Man, do you really think her body was dumped?
I mean, there was suggestions that he had been involved with some sex trafficking, and it was never proven there. It stopped really quick, but they were saying that he possibly sold her to a bigger group, like an organization for the sex trafficking. And basically him saying that what he did in court, saying I killed her, he did not say that. He said that she had died and he disposed of the body, would be a lot better than this organization getting a hold of him.
Well, yeah, they would whack him. I mean, come on, they would.
Yeah.
There you go. Another one bites the dust. So
that was
they never did find the body in the landfill, correct?
No,
and they searched pretty thoroughly. They searched it very, very thoroughly, down to So this case is still open. It's still fresh. It's still unsolved. So it was Shay's idea to. She's like, the first case I want to work on is this one. And I'm like, all right, let's roll with it. I was like, what do you want? She said, this is what I want to do. And I was like, I got something better. Let's top it off with a couple of dozens of cherries. And we got psychics involved. And some of these psychics that worked for the U.S. government that did remote viewing on Russia back in the Cold War, which are legit. Some of them worked with law enforcement, FBI, CIA, which anytime, even Brendan can tell you this, anytime psychics work with law enforcement, they're not going to go,
well, yeah, Shay, the psychic, told me exactly what happened and where to find the body.
So what they call them advisors and so forth, and they have to have a proven track history, proven track record, okay? So, and they never get credit for it. Yeah, they really don't. Yeah, Samantha, I am being honest about that. So yeah, I know it's funny, but I like to have a little fun because it's really sad. My heart goes out to the friends and family. I know a couple of psychics that got involved. I'm like, stop, don't tell me no more. And they're like, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, yeah, it does make sense. You just don't know the case. And they don't even know we're doing the show right now. So nobody knows. They know we're going to be doing a show next Friday, but they don't know about the show tonight. So that way they're not watching. So yeah, which is very interesting. Give us some more details, some more facts that you know about, since it's your hometown.
Well, I mean, as
the trafficking area.
Yes,
right?
it's the second highest rate in the U.S. right now. And there are a lot of teenage male and female that are missing in Michigan, and a lot of them you'll see there will be a certain area, and the kids, especially 14 and 15, that there's a lot of 14 and 15-year-olds missing that get taken. But it seems like it goes in patterns. So like, a few kids will be taken within like a week, 2 week span in one area, and then it moves. These kids are never found. They're still missing. And there's been, the investigation, and police are busting a lot of these rings, and they're going out of state. Like you'll find some in Ohio, which is a state over. And anybody can research this and look this up. Like it's a problem. And a lot of times, remember with the whole, Chris, we were talking about how they delayed the missing report. And when Zion's mom called the East Point police station, they said, well, it's going to take at least, 72 hours for us to get out there and even take the report. But to be honest with you, ma'am, it will be listed, we'll start thinking it's a runaway because of her age. Well, this is exactly what's going on right now with the 13, 14, 15-year-olds that are being taken. They're just assumed at first that it's a runaway. And a lot of people do think that because it's suggested. So until it happens to like your child or a neighborhood child or somebody close to you, it just gets lost. It gets lost in the media and lost over time. And those faces are forgotten about. And then once that area gets hot because there's been 3 or 4 kids coming up missing, that's when it seems to be moving over. And if the description of when a kid there's an attempted kidnapping, when the child describes the incident and the car and the person, it's very, it doesn't, I mean, I don't want to put them like stereotype, but it's always like the same pattern. It's not like an abductor kind of story. It's suspicious as to this would not typically be an abductor, and they're abducting for a reason. So if you read the details and the facts around the case, very, very few are updated to say that they were found, but not many.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a picture of Zion right there. She was 17 when she disappeared. You can tell that she's very young, very attractive. So she would probably meet the criteria if they were involved in such things. One of the things we talked about too last show is that unfortunately, when you get multiple jurisdictions involved, and stuff, it does get kind of polluted or confusion going on, which is normal. It happens, unfortunately. So, we try not to blame too much of them, Now, we're not saying by any means that there may be a cover up. No, we're not saying there's not. We're not saying there is. Because we know in other cases that law enforcement has actually been involved with sex trafficking. And we watch TVs, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. We know the good cops, the bad cops, the cops who get paid and everything else, and Jose, Lose, and so forth. Do y'all have any questions out there in the audience? Ask. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions if we know the answers. If not, we'll find them. But she had, what was the 2 agencies involved?
It was Detroit, who is Wayne County, and East Point, which is Macomb County. And it's like Detroit's here and East Point's here. So it's like right on the border.
Yeah, because where she lived was in one county and where the cousin lived was in another county.
Yeah.
So that's why both of them were involved.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's a very detailed case. It's very heartbreaking case, like any other case, but it caught her attention. And once she started explaining the case to me, I did a little homework in it, and I was like, well, this does not add up. Mm-hmm. So I kind of asked around to a few of my personal psychics, and they're like, I can't say it. Almost did. Oof. But anyways, each one of the psychics next show are going to come on board. They're going to tell you who they are. They're going to tell you what method they use. and what information they use to get the information they receive and how they receive it. And usually what happens is like you have 12 people that sees an automobile accident, but the 12 people see it from 12 different angles. So that means you have 12 pieces to a puzzle that each person has a piece that is put together and lays on the table while the other one adds to it. So somebody may pick up the carpet, or somebody may pick up the color of the carpet. Somebody may see the dumpster or whatever was used, or if it was used. And that's how it works. It's not like somebody's going to come forward and go, that's it. Sometimes that does happen. Yes. I'm not saying it doesn't. I know psychics that actually work with the FBI and CIA, and they get it 100% right. But they also tell you that they always do not get it 100% right each time. The government, when they did their remote viewing program, you had to be a certain percentage and higher on accuracy to even be in the program, because, it depends on the mood of the day. If you didn't want to work, you didn't have to work. Man, that would really shoot me in the foot. I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to work today. But anyways, that's how it goes. So it's going to be real interesting. So I would really pass the word out. Hopefully the family and friends gets the word out that we're working on this with them. Whatever information we get, we have the phone numbers to call both departments and say, hey, look, watch this video and take it what it is and run what you like and go from there. I mean,
Right.
I don't know.
Right. I would think, I mean, as long as they're pretty close, of course, if they're off the wall, I can see them refusing, but.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I actually invited some new ones into the group. So if we have some off the wall, we have some off the wall. And, what Shay's going to do, which I didn't brief her.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, right. So she's going to write down each person, and she's going to get a brief description of what they say, and she's going to keep a note of it. And then her and I are going to go back, and we're going to be like, okay, this person was closed. This person was closed. This person was closed. This person was way in the wrong direction. Not saying they're totally wrong, but maybe they had seen through somebody else's eyes. But most of the time when you do something along this nature, usually it's all pretty much the same, along the same lines, the same information. But like I said, just different views. So I did add new people to the group, and it's a very large group. And the reason why I did it is a couple of things. I wanted Shay to have a go-to group to where if we want to do this again on another case, she would have access to. That way, because one of us has to be pure. That means if she's working on a case, I cannot know the facts of it. I can do the psychic side. Is, ladies and gentlemen, psychics do know what's in your head. Okay. For example, one of my psychics, let's see if I can get one of my phones here. I got so many of them. One of my psychics told me before I was moving, when I was going to move. I was like, yeah, right, whatever. And I was interviewing her, and she was like, oh, by the way, before you let me go, you're going to have to go see the dentist when you get there. Bye. Have a good night, Grizzly. And I was like, what? And I was like, I got good teeth, ladies and gentlemen. I don't need to go see no dentist. Well, about a week and a half ago, or maybe going on 2 weeks now, I'm still waiting to figure this out. I was actually sucking on a red hot, about the size of a quarter, not the little small ones. And I noticed this piece that would not dissolve.
Oh, no.
And I was like, that's really strange. So I spit it out. Let me see if I can get it close in front of the camera. There we go. Perfect. And that's what came out. So that's part of my tooth. So before I did anything, I called her up, and she's like, I know why you're calling. You're going to have to go see the dentist in the morning. I was like, I love you so much, girl. So, yeah, so they do know. Some of them are that good. So just beware. Never ask a question you don't want to know the truth of. I can tell you that much. The good thing is that the psychics that we deal with, They're not very graphic. They will try to sugarcoat it because of the family members and friends that are watching. If it is kind of graphic, they'll tell you up front, caution, this is going to be kind of horrible to say, but I have to describe it this way because this is the only way I can describe it. This is the way my spirit guides are telling me. Excuse me. So just prepared. So yeah. So what else you got going on, Shay? Any other stuff you want to add to the case that's going on? Any new information or?
No, it has been dead silent. There's nothing more. And that's why I think the family of Zion is kind of being quiet, because they spoke out after he was released. And of course, he's not going to go on camera. He's not going to grant any interviews because it would draw more attention to him. Right. And he might slip up and say something. Obviously, we saw his performance at the court, right? So I think maybe that's why they have not responded yet. I think they spoke out about, him being released and them not being aware that he was being released. And then there's been nothing more since then. So I think they might be just shying away from the public currently. Because like I said, this was only a week and a half ago that this all took place. So
but the case is still open though, right?
Yeah. Oh yes. The case is still open. Yeah, because no one's been charged with murder. I mean, we don't know if she's, out there running, sex, if she's being sex trafficked or if she is actually deceased and was put in a dumpster. We don't know. The case is still open. No one's been charged with murder. No one's been charged with her murder. No one's been charged with her kidnapping. The only charges that has come up was lying to the officer and impeding the investigation.
Okay. Now, what about forensic evidence? Now, what about his car and stuff?
They found that they did say that they found forensic evidence in the trunk of his car that leads them to believe that she was in danger, and then later said that that it was not going to be a good outcome. So that is why he was lying to the peace officer, because he's come up with 3 or 4 stories, nothing until court that she, what had actually happened, if indeed it did happen, that caused her death. But there was forensics found in his car because they kept his car, and that they knew he was lying because of the fact of all the phone pings where the location was pinging, the text messages, because you could still, the parents could still get they could subpoena the company, the phone company, and they have the records of what was in the text message. So the fact that he said, well, I didn't pick her, I never picked her up, or we haven't talked in 6 months or a couple of years, we don't talk at all. Well, that was obviously proven to be a false statement, because the text messages going back and forth. I mean, I'm sure nobody had his phone for multiple days and making plans with somebody that, so that's why he was charged with what he was charged with. But, no body, no crime, right? So
yeah, unfortunately that is the truth, but in a lot of states. But the problem, I have a hard pill swallowing, right? That he was in a court of law. Of course, we didn't see him, being swear under oath that I do, solemnly swear that my testimony is the truth, nothing but the truth. And unfortunately, they did not say under God or swear to God. They took that out in most states, probably all states by now. It just tells you how long I've been in law enforcement or out of law enforcement. But when you go on record and say that you dumped the body and got rid or disposed of the body, I mean, it seems like the prosecutor could take that and probably do, like you said, because we read the statute about abuse of a corpse, what it fit the description, is he removed a body from a scene and disposed of it knowingly and intentionally. So, and it fit the elements of the statute in Michigan, because we read that out loud. And so, I mean, I don't know. There's more to it that they're not telling us.
Yes.
And that's what I don't understand. So they know something we don't know. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find out what they do know that they don't want us to know because of who our panel is. So, yeah, the truth's going to come out one way or another. Right or wrong, if we are right or wrong, it is what it is. We're not giving any false hopes or false promises to anybody. We just want to see what we can find out. We may find out nothing, you know. We may find out, you know, out of X amount of psychics, you know, 2 of them were right on. And if that's the case, you know, I mean, we'll pass the information on or forward the video to the police, and all we have to do is send them a link. You know, we're not going to sit here and tell them, you know, let them watch it, you know, and if they want to contact the psychics themselves and interview them, then so be it, you know. I don't know though, man. I think we're gonna go for a twist and a turn on this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of panel. I saw the panel. There's a lot of names.
Yeah, and they're good names, but
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on. The forensic evidence in the car, him in court saying what he did, him in the court, you know, sitting there that he had to take a moment, that he didn't, he freaked out, he had to go. Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Escott. Hello. Sorry, so late. Hey, better late than never, right? But, you know, with all that information, it seems like they would, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know, Michigan.
And of course, it's still an open investigation, so they're not going to release everything. And he was probably advised by his attorney not to do any interviews once he got out, because first of all, he got out on a lot less time than he was supposed to, and that the whole details around that and releasing him and not notifying, you know, it was very out the back door, and, you know, go around the corner in the dark. That's how it seemed to be. So, and you saw the way he was in the court. He was probably advised not to say anything because it's still an open investigation. And
yeah, you don't want to self-incriminate yourself. That's absolutely correct.
He's gonna trip up. So we can go from, okay, I did my time and I did the special program and got out in way less time than what I was supposed to, and it's still open. So why would I do the chance? I mean, like, you better be walking on eggshells, driving on glass, and not be doing anything, you know? So I don't think that we're going to hear anything for a little bit. And then hopefully the psychics can maybe help out. And then hopefully he also trips up, because I don't think that was his first time. You know, I think most people, you're not going to learn a lesson in 10 months. Flat out. And especially when you weren't really charged with anything regarding Zion. He was charged for lying to the police. He was not charged with anything that happened to Zion that night and what he supposedly did to Zion after she had died. So there's no lesson learned. There's no penalty. There's no punishment. He's not being held accountable for doing anything to her or her body. He was
well,
only
they can't prove it though. That's the problem. And he's been caught in so many lies, and everything's allegedly. And, you know, if he's backpedaling, and I don't know what he wrote in written statements compared to what he testified. And I mean, to me, it's a mess. And I think he's run out of road. And I think he just stuck with one story, what his attorney told him to stick with. Excuse me. And any attorney tells in front of an open court, in front of the family, because you heard one of the family members say something. Well, you know, I have all my clients that always tells me no, that they didn't do it. And I know they're guilty, but not this guy. This guy he's being honest. I really feel like he's telling the truth. I'm like, dude, you're getting, is this a appointed attorney, or is this an attorney that he hired?
I'm sure it's an appointed attorney, because you heard what he said.
We need to find that out. We need to find that out.
Because remember, he said that he was going to lose, that's why he panicked, because he would end up losing his house, and that he just was barely on his feet. Remember, he said that.
So that to me right there, Shay, tells me that there was malintent that happened somewhere. Okay. I mean, if you're around, ladies and gentlemen, you know, in an apartment, in a home, smoking a fat doobie, okay, and somebody crocs over and dies, do you think that the last thing that you're worried about is getting a misdemeanor charge, slap on the wrist, is smoking a joint in your own place?
But it's
You're
legal.
more worried. You're more
That's
worried.
legal.
More worried about the person that's dying or dead that's in your living room.
Yeah, it's legal in Michigan. So, and that's the other thing, like smoking marijuana, as if that's a huge thing. Like, you're afraid of because you're smoking marijuana, but yeah, let's roll up a body and put it in my trunk. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I was saying is about he has not been held. They have not held him accountable for doing anything to Zion. Even with saying in court he dumped her body, he should have been held accountable for dumping her body. He's only been held accountable, partial accountable, for lying to the police.
All right. Law enforcement coming out. All right. Brenda, help me out on this. Ex-law enforcement 2 now. Let's say he's working with law enforcement.
Maybe
He's a snitch. Maybe that's why he got out. Maybe that's why he got a light little slap on the wrist. Now you're working for me to bust down and take it down the ring. Maybe that's why they're keeping things quiet.
Could be, but I mean, I don't know.
See,
like you said,
even Brenda says that could be, yeah.
Yeah, you're right, and maybe that's why nobody's seen him. He hasn't.
Witness
like
protection
interviews. Yes, as well. Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, anytime,
Good point. That's a very good point. Very good point.
So anytime that you look at things, you always got to look at the pros and cons, the positive and negatives, right? And it's real hard because we get so wrapped up. And ladies and gentlemen, I get emotional. I'm a man. I get emotional. Okay. But, the only thing that helps me out is my law enforcement experience and knowing the law at the time and knowing certain cases. But, we always got to think, what if? Because even though things doesn't make sense at first, things are like mirrors and smoke, like the government does to us. And that's another topic, another show.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? But but if you start looking at things a certain way in a different angle in what he's being charged with, how he got in and out, and then family wasn't notified. I mean, is he working with the 2 police departments and the DEA and the FBI? Who knows?
That could be possible because of the fact of how he was released. Like I said, out the back door and like around the alley, like nobody was notified. There was nothing saying that he was, doing the special program. He's a violent offender. Well, I'm sorry. He's not a violent offender because he hasn't been charged with any violent crimes. But that's a good point. That is a very good point that you made, because maybe that's why everything was kept secret. And it just happened to be that somebody seen him, and that's how it came out that he was let out.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's what I call a humdinger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, what are your all thoughts out there that's watching the show? Do y'all have any other theories or things that you may know on other cases that could play a part in this case that could be a possibility? Let us know. If you want to come on live and give your opinion, all you got to do is send me a PM at Grizzly Chris, and that's my personal Facebook. Just send me a PM. Let me know you're sending me a PM. Didn't even type. Wow. Let me try this again. Grizzly Chris, that's my personal Facebook page. And you got to let me know that if you're going to send me a PM, because my restrictions are so tight. If you're not somebody that's in my circle, usually it goes in my spam folder, so I have to check. If that's the case, be careful how you do things. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't want to end up swimming with the fishes. Now, if our computers start turning off and I end up disappearing for some other reason, ladies and gentlemen, you know what happened. So she's actually right on that, because I already been warned once, and somebody's watching knows what I'm talking about. doing one show with one person. And I was like, whatever. And during one show, everything just like turned off and I could get back on. And I was like, yeah, right. They're like, do you remember that night? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that wasn't your computer. Somebody actually intentionally did that. I was like, oh. So we all have an IP address. So they know. I mean, so yeah. Brenda, right. But no, but anybody has any other thoughts or anything about that or opinions? Because I mean, that could be a possibility. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that could be a possibility because the more and more you look at things and think about things, you know, it's just not adding up.
That suggestion, like I said, you remember I said there was a suggestion, a rumor that it was a possible sex ring thing. That was shut down very quickly. Like it was mentioned once and nothing. It was shut down really quickly. So now that you bring that to light, that could be. That could be. But
yeah,
if you wasted all that money knowing that that was not the case in looking for something, giving false hope, asking for donations and volunteers, then that's kind of shady too.
Well, Kay does. That makes the most sense. Well, you know, sometimes the departments or the agencies got to put on some kind of show that shows that they're doing something and not sitting on their ass. So, and then when people start coming up with money, they're like, damn, now we got to go back out to the stinky field with dumpster with trash and dig more, even though that we're probably not going to find the body because we probably know where the person is because of what we know, but we're not going to tell the public that. Now we're just going to go out there and do it again and use their money until we run out of it, and hopefully nobody else donates. And ladies and gentlemen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just throwing theories out there because, you know, it is. I mean, what else can it be? You know, because now we can't find the gentleman. I looked all over social media. I looked all over the internet. I mean, what was his name? The cousin?
Jalen Brazier.
Yeah, Jalen Brazier. He is MIA.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, and even the family, like maybe the family were told, because if maybe the family spoke out, if there's a glimmer of hope or a possibility that is the case, it's very unfortunate, but at least there's a possibility that she could come home. So I didn't look at that or think about that until you said that. So yeah, that's definitely something to think about. Definitely something to think about.
Well, now that makes me think about what we're doing. So let's see what information we get, ladies and gentlemen. And see what direction that we should go.
I'm eager
because now I think maybe we shouldn't contact Popo. I think we should contact a national media outlet and say, hey, look, this is what we're thinking. This is what they're coming up with. Do you want to take this and run with it and see what you find out? Because it may make sense why the family's not even answering nobody.
Yep. And I told you there's been nothing on social media. Like it's just ceased.
And Lisa says, boy, do we know government is so corrupted. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Come on now.
So, yeah, I'm not going to comment on that because, man, you get me on the holy roly train, man. You won't get Grizzly to shut up. So, yeah, Lisa, you just hit my button right there. I'm telling you. But yeah, I'm telling you, unbelievable. Yeah, there we go. See, she's done hit it there. Once you get my head bopping, watch out because it's getting ready to come. So, yeah, no, it's not going to come out tonight. But yeah, I may have to. We're gonna have to really think about that. None of our shows are pre-recorded. It's live, raw, and uncut, unedited. What you see is what you get. If we make a mistake, we make a mistake with language or stutter or whatever. It happens. I don't cut out the ums and he's and does, and I don't do none of that, ladies and gentlemen. It's all live. Nothing's pre-recorded on any.
And we did not talk about this like off air. So
no, I haven't talked to her all week. I mean, I actually was like, had a replacement for her last week.
What?
Because she didn't even have any communication with me. I'm like, are
Hey,
you still
I have 2 more
on?
cases here that are like, oh yeah.
Oh,
Once I get
you
started on
do?
something. Oh, I
Well,
do.
because
I
hey,
do.
ladies and gentlemen, I told everybody that I interviewed that when I pick somebody, it's long term. I'm not going to promote somebody. Now, if she goes to an anchor job or whatever, yeah, that's fine. You know, but I'm not going to sit here and waste my time promote somebody and spend time and energy with the show and do, you know, promote her and take her on to another show. And next thing you know, she's like, I quit. I'm like, what? Because, you know, people start liking you and your attitudes. So what's this about another case? I got to know this now.
Okay. All right. So this is fairly recent. Okay. So I have a recent one. And if we get to the other one, or if it goes next week, then that's fine. We can carry over till next week and I'll do another case on top of that case. But so I have a recent one and then I have one from past. This one is recent and it is from Vancouver, Washington. And it involves
Yeah,
a
Keita.
child.
Keita said media would love a possible lead. The media would eat the departments alive.
Well, especially because there's been nothing new. Like when they found out about being let out, they were on top of it, but nothing since. So
right now, ladies and gentlemen, the departments are probably running our background checks, and they're like, which department he used to work for? Ladies and gentlemen, my fingerprints are all over the ATF, FBI, CIA. I mean, when you're in law enforcement with NICS and on your CAD system, man, they know who you are. Go ahead, ma'am. Sorry, Shay.
no, that's okay. Mine is not. So all right. So as of yet. Anyways, this is about a 27-year-old mother and a 7-year-old. What happened? Hold on, I gotta just open it up again. It timed out. There you go.
All right.
It's a mother and a child. And some of you may have followed it or have seen something posted about it. The mother's name is Michelle Melendez, and she's 27. And her daughter is Layla Stewart, and she's 7 years old. This is a very detailed case as well. And there's a lot of information. And there's a whole lot of things that kind of, well, you'll see. So they were last seen on March 12th of this year in the morning. And they do have they're found deceased on March 22nd, just recently. And they were found deceased in also in Washington, a different city, but it was off the embankment of a highway in kind of like a overgrown grassy area. They identified them, that it is the mom and the daughter that were missing. And the cause of death is still pending. So this is how recent it is. Okay. So 10 days from the missing to found deceased. Okay. Now they do have a suspect and he was arrested and his name is Kirkland Warren. Okay. One said that he was a former boyfriend and then he was a boyfriend. So I think from what I'm understanding is it was a back and forth relationship. So let me get to the details here. I'm sorry, I got different parts.
No, you're fine. Take your time. You're doing good.
Okay. So here's kind of like a rough timeline, and then I'll add as we go through the timeline to notes that I added for it. Okay. This is his past. Let me go to present because his past has a lot to do with his present because now we're going to involve another case that's still open, ladies and gentlemen. All right. All right. 2021. Okay. So we're going to start with December 13th, 2022. Okay. There was a report that was made that Warren or the suspect and Michelle were arguing in her apartment. He ends up leaving, but he comes back and he shoots the balcony window. Okay, he shot. They're calling it a drive-by. So he shoots through the window. There's evidence, right? cops are called. They're obviously going to investigate what the report was, correct? They're
Right.
going to see the bullet. Okay. So she was looking outside when he shot through the window. So he didn't just shoot through the window as a drive-by. She was looking out of the window. So my guess is he wasn't just driving by. He was probably waiting because they were arguing and he had left. And then now if he left the apartment complex, I don't know. Or if he just sat there. Okay. Well, she obviously looked out the balcony window. He shot into that window that she was looking out of. Okay. So attempted murder, I would think, right? So now we're moving forward. So on December 23rd, 10 days later, she calls 911. She reported to the dispatcher that she was assaulted by him. But then she also brings up the shooting from 10 days prior. Okay. She did not call 10 days before. She brought it all up 10 days later, and that's when the evidence was found. All right. So February 3rd, we're moving down to February 3rd of 2023. The law enforcement was still investigating because of all the stuff that was told and the violence. But also, we'll get back to this suspect's background. Okay. And what he's capable of. So we're still investigating a month and a half later. They end up interviewing a friend and of Michelle's who said that she was present during the shooting at the apartment complex back in December. Okay. So now you have not only Michelle's account, but you also have a friend validating her account because she was, as she stated, there at the time of the incident, correct?
Well,
So
the friend may not count as a witness. A friend can be a statement, but not an accountable witness because friends can take up for their friends and lie for their friends. So keep that in the back of your minds, ladies and gentlemen, as for law enforcement officer.
Right, and that's what they said, that she corroborated her statement.
There we go.
All right, so then 2 weeks later, Michelle meets with the investigators, okay, the detectives, and she recants that earlier statement, okay? She said that she lied about the shooting, and that now this is going to play it in later too. She claims that her and her friend have mental health and drug issues, okay? So that kind of explained away her earlier statements. That was the reason that she lied. She supposedly made up the whole entire thing, wasted all this time from December all the way to in the middle of February.
But did they have bullets in the home?
They said that they had evidence.
Okay, evidence.
So I can't, go on, I don't know, because they said they had evidence, but with the accounts and everything else. But the point is that there was a 911 call. The investigation is still going on and on and on for 2 months. She recounts. Now, mental illness and drug issues. I'm not taking anything away because we all know mental health is a serious problem, and it is, it's a crisis, and it needs to be, looked into and considered. However, it seems to be that the whole mental illness, drug issues, that kind of is a justification. So I think something needs to go further into that instead of just anybody claiming. Like, it needs to be looked into more. Does that make sense?
No, you make perfectly sense. Ladies and gentlemen, I moved from one city to another. And because of the opiate crisis, your primary doctor won't prescribe certain medications, which is fine. Okay, I understand. Everybody abuses opiates, and that's why they went to heroin, and that's why they went to oxy, fentanyl, and everything. But here's the deal. So I moved cities. They know who I am. And I've been moved now. What is it, Brenda? Going on almost 2 months now. Brenda, I think 2 months. And so I called my primary. I'm like, I still haven't heard from the pain management center. And she's like, well, I told you, I'll fill your meds just to bridge you and everything. I was like, well, I told you before, don't worry about it because I didn't think it's going to take that long. But yeah, go ahead and fill them, please, because I'm out. So she fills them. And I call the pain management treatment center. And I was like, hey, what's going on with me coming to you all and being seen as a patient? Well, we have to review your file. We only got half your file, and we just got the rest of your file. Now, before we actually, accept you as a patient, we have to review your medical records and see if we want to take you. And I'm thinking to myself, excuse me? I was like, do me a favor. Put on my file that I am retired captain detective in my name. And show that to the doctor. And I hate doing that because I'm no better or no different than any other Joe out there on the street. Okay. And I hate saying that because this is what happened when that happened. I get a phone call and I got to go in today. Okay. Because of that phone call and what I said. Now that peed me off because the average person, Joe, out there on the street that can't get in, I just skipped everybody else and got in front of them. Okay. Now, she's sitting there. The doctor is telling me that I have to see their psychiatrist. I'm like, okay, I can care less. I've seen psychiatrists, right? No big deal. We always have to see them. And then we have to get your medical file. I was like, excuse me? She said, we don't have your medical file. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, have you had what do you call epidurals and all that other stuff? I'm like, yeah, well, we don't have that. Where'd you get those done? I was like, you okay? And she's like, well, we don't have that. So we're going to need that file. And I'm like, I was told that you had the files. And she said, well, here's how this is going to work. We do not treat pain. We actually treat and edge the pain off. Just wink and smile. It worked for me. No. I about threw my walker at her. And I'm sitting there and listening, and I'm thinking, she don't treat pain. She curves the pain. And I'm like, okay, I understand that, and I've been seeing the pain management treatment and physical therapy off and on, 3.5, 4 years. And making a long story short, then she tells me, all right, sir, so we're going to schedule you for the psychiatrist. And after his review, once we get their medical files in, we're going to take everything together, look at it as a whole, and then we're going to make a determination if we take you as a patient. And I sat there for all my glory that I had not to get angry, violent, and everything else. And then I thought to myself, these poor guys and ladies on the street, they can't get the medicine because they're in pain like I am. No wonder they turn to illegal drugs. No wonder they buy pills off the street that's laced with fentanyl and stuff to try to ease their pain. It's sad.
It is.
And
because because the abusers, there was abusers, now it has moved over to actually hinder the healthcare of other people that honestly need it. So, but that's my point, is that the whole mental health and drug addiction has become an acceptable justification for anybody's actions, either minor to major, as in the reason why they did something. Which, don't get me wrong, that there are people that are suffering with severe mental health issues that may have happen. But why is it constantly always happening when it comes up that something they did wrong? It's a justification. Whereas why there are so many programs out there, and a lot of times if you go to addiction centers, they have mental health, for you to talk. There's hotlines. There's so many programs. I know that you can't get in for like mental health care to see a psychiatrist, see a counselor, but at some point, if you're suffering from mental health for 20, 30 years, it was stable for 20 or 30 years, right? What was the breaking point? Number one. Number two, where is the paper trail?
Oh, I couldn't tell you how many people I did suicide ideations with on the department and in the civilian world. Brenda, what do you mean? Do you have a PCP yet? When you say PCP, I'm thinking dope.
Primary care physician.
Yeah, I do have primary care. The referral was approved. And when I got home, first thing I told my dad was like, I was like, you know what? Screw the medical field. I'm going to go get me a medical marijuana card. I'm not going to smoke it. I never have. I said, I'll probably just eat the shit. Eat the stuff. Cook it in brownies like the grandma and the Papa did back 10, 15 years ago to the nursing home people in the nursing home. They couldn't figure out why they were always happy. But really, something's wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know, but go ahead. I had to put that in there.
So because of that statement, the investigator, it was dropped. Okay. He wasn't arrested. It was dropped. However, the investigators did deem it as suspicious. Okay. So there was no charges because they explained the way what had happened and why the report was made, but it was still in the back of their head because it was deemed suspicious. It's probably deemed suspicious because the statement and how elaborate it was, it was 10 days prior, then the second statement, then the friend collaborated it. And then there was probably, remember, let's take the bullet, for instance. So it'd be deemed as suspicious is still in the back of their head. Okay. But there was no arrest made, no charges. All right. So then we go to March 2nd. So this is another 2 weeks later. I'm sorry. The Vancouver, Washington police arrests Warren. So now we ask why on March 2nd. Well, so they were still investigating. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. They were still investigating it, but as of then, everybody thought the friend, Michelle and Warren all thought, okay, good, no charges, not arrested. So then 2 weeks later, obviously they were still investigating. The Vancouver police, they arrested him. Okay. March 3rd, he appears in court and he is charged with suspicion of second-degree domestic violence assault, drive-by shooting, making a false statement. He was charged with making a false statement. Okay. Harassment and possession of a stolen firearm between the series of all the alleged incidents. Okay. Now, let's go to harassment and possession of the stolen firearm, because remember, it's a drive-by shooting. Well, on March 31st, 2021, this was 7 months before he starts showing up with these cases for Michelle. Okay. He applies for a license and application because he wants to buy a semi-automatic handgun. Okay. And he said that he wasn't under indictment for a felony. Okay. Well, that makes sense at this point, right? He's not under indictment for any felony. Well, he was denied. His application was denied because he lied.
That is correct.
All right. So I'm going to tell you why he lied, because remember I said the indictment on felony and something that happened prior. He has a pending murder case in Arkansas. So we'll get back to that later. Okay. Is everybody following?
Yeah, I'm fine. Everybody else okay? I'm following.
Okay. So the application was denied. That's it. They just denied the case. But there was no punishment. That goes to like the FBI. Does it go to the FBI or DEA for the
district attorney for charges and everything?
No. When you apply for a firearm.
No, that goes to the ATF and the FBI for NICS.
So he lied. Yeah. He lied, and they just basically
Form 1073.
Like, whatever. He lied. It's shredded. Okay. So he applied for a firearm and he was denied because he has a pending murder case. We'll get back to that later. That is why he was charged with harassment and possession of a stolen firearm, because obviously he couldn't get his own firearm. All right. So at that time, same court date. Before that court date, they did a danger assessment. And a danger assessment is when a domestic violence case is going on. It's a test where they ask you a series of questions, and actually, well, hold on. They usually, the scale is from 1 to 18. Okay. He scored a 31. A 31. So he was labeled as an extreme risk. And it goes to the like how much danger the partner is, male or female, the abused partner is in the suspect or the partner hurting them. Like, is it going to be like just an argument or fight, or is this a possible case where they could be murdered? So it's kind of like a lethal thing. He scored a 31, so he was an extreme risk to Michelle, okay, the partner that had reported, recanted, and now was missing. But at the court date, she was not missing at this point. They also added in that he has a pending active homicide case. So here's a person that has an active murder case that's still being investigated in a different state, who is now under investigation and being charged with all the charges I just read to you, who scored a 31 on this dangerous assessment test. And any woman that is being abused or male that's being abused, anybody can go on and take this test for free, and we can hook them up with like the website, okay? You can take the test for free. It's confidential. You do it yourself. You can do it at home, your work, wherever you want to do it. And it will tell you like how much danger you're in. If it's a low or very high or extreme. So they held him at that point on $100,000 bond or bail. I'm sorry. So he was also given, if he posted bail and he was released,
10%, 10,000.
Right. So he would be given a domestic violence no contact order, which we all know
ain't crap,
because it's not crap, because at that point, if you're going to hurt somebody, it's only going to take one time, and it's how long does it take for somebody to get to help? And it's not knocking anybody, because even 2 minutes is too long. So now, hours later, that same day, while he was in jail, he called Michelle. He has a no contact order. He's in jail. All phone calls are taped. This is how blatant he is. Okay. He calls her and he makes a suggestion that she is responsible and that she needs to get his charges dropped.
There's a term for that. What is that term where the man blames the woman and the woman ends up believing it's her fault? Brenda, what is that term?
Starts with an S. Starts with an S. Not Stanford.
Oh my gosh, it's right there. I need a fact checker. Brenda, are you still on here? I'm having muscle spasms. Yeah, what is that term, ladies?
Stockholm syndrome.
Yes. Okay. Yes. There we go.
I knew it would come to me. So now remember remember she recanted her story from a couple weeks prior that led into all this.
I will
kill
you, woman, if you don't drop my charges. I will slit your throat.
And he's on tape telling her basically to recant. Okay?
Yeah.
Again.
It happens all the time.
Yep. So he then also makes the statement to her that he will not be going back to Arkansas. Remember, Arkansas, he has the open pending murder case. All right. So that same day, after he was arrested, $100,000 bond, no contact order, he calls her. He posts bail. He is released. However, they cited him They cited him. What is that, a ticket?
Yeah.
Okay. They get on his way out after he posted bail. Yes. He had Stockholm syndrome. That it came to me. Yeah. So good. Thank you for validating my answer. They knew all this. So you have a extreme risk with a score of 31. All the charges. He was arrested, violated the no contact order by basically threatening her. Okay, I would say threatening by making suggestions. And he posts bail after he violated his no contact order while he was in jail the same day. And on his way out of posting the bail, they cited him about the order. Okay.
So a couple things. A cited is either back into court, okay, to reappear on breaking the charges. 2, did they run what we called it is a triple I when I was on, which is a background check, which they all should do when somebody's arrested or for whatever reason that shows
because
up.
they knew that's how they knew he had that there was a pending murder case in
But
another state.
He was not charged with anything. It was all open and pending.
Right. But we probably
there ain't no buts. Yeah.
We'll probably have to carry this over to the other show, next show.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. So, March 6th, this is 3 days later. Okay. He appears in court for that citation. All right. And they gave a probable cause affidavit. I'm sure you know what that is. Asking the court that he wears a GPS monitor. If released, and also a higher bond. Okay. The reason why they're asking for that is because all the damn jail systems and prisons are overcrowded and overrun. That's right. Why. But again, we have to go back to the extreme risk. He already violated the contact order while he was in jail.
I get it.
2 minutes is too late. You know what I mean? So so the judge goes ahead and orders $10,000 bail. So what is that? $1,000?
$1,000.
And and the GPS, the electric monitoring, and that he would be released pending trial. Okay. So next day, March 7th. The case is dismissed, and the allegations are later added to his court case. And he is not fitted for the GPS. The case is dismissed. Are we following?
Yeah, it sounds like the family's got a civil lawsuit in my book.
Well, yeah. Okay, so 4 days later, Michelle stayed the night at her friend's house in an apartment. Okay.
I wonder why.
You're right. The next day was the last day that Michelle and her daughter were seen. Okay, so now we're at March 12th, the date of her disappearance. All right. So I'm going to give you the timeline, and then we'll go back and we'll add the details. Okay. So she was reported missing 6 days later by her mom, because she had regular video chats with Michelle and Layla, and she never missed them, and she didn't, they didn't have it. She missed it, and she couldn't get a hold of her, and there was no messages, nothing. So she reported her missing because she had not spoken to her in a week. Okay, so there we go on March 18th. So at that time, the police went out and did a welfare check in the area of the apartment, of Layla's apartment and the other apartment complex. They were not there. So they served a warrant for Warren and a search warrant for the vehicle and his residence. Okay. Because he had not actually been charged with anything and all the cases were dropped, remember, or dismissed, but it was still deemed as suspicious. So they didn't arrest him at this time, but they did serve a search warrant for his vehicle and for his home. He ended up being arrested. Okay. Now, later, as I'm researching,
what was he arrested for when they did the search warrant?
Okay, so in this original time, so I had to do some investigating. Well, I'm going to tell you what he was mainly arrested for. And then when we go back to the details, we'll go with that.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
He had Michelle's phone in his possession
Get out of here
during the time of the arrest. Okay, so
while she is missing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but there's no contact order. Remember, the contact order is still in effect because he was still had domestic violence, even though the case was dismissed. There was it was always, I believe it was probably an open investigation because of his pending murder case. And the third, all the evidence, maybe like the bullet hole, how everything was going on, how they recanted, how they caught him talking on the phone. So does that make sense? So that's why they did a search warrant. Well, they found and arrested him because he had her phone. And remember, I said that her mom was trying to get a hold of her because she had no contact for a week and she had missed their weekly call. So this whole entire time, he's got her phone in his possession. And for what? You're not he didn't respond. But why would you keep her phone?
Did they try to ping it during all this time while in his possession?
No, because I didn't see anything in regards to that. That I happened to stumble across the whole phone thing.
Wow.
And we'll go back to that. So, on March 20th, the next day after that search warrant, he went to court on new allegations. And these new allegations were tampering with a witness because of that phone call, second-degree unlawful possession of a firearm, and protection order violation.
Felonies.
Right. So they held him without bail and increased his bail from $100,000 that he had posted before to $500,000. Okay.
Okay. 50 grand.
Yep. So I'm trying to go back so we don't get all this confused. I'm just want to do a basic timeline.
So basically, he's already got 11,000 on the book. So now he's got to come up with 39,000.
Right. So, and then now the charges, all the charges with the second degree unlawful possession of the firearm, that's reinstated. And then violating the protection order, that was because the phone call, and because he made that phone call and how they use the word suggested, it was tampering with the witness. Added on. So the judge, he postpones the hearing for the day because he wants to get more information on these new allegations. Okay, they have had tons and tons of stuff coming in. So that was on 3/20. So at that same time, the judge from Arkansas, because he's out on bail for that open murder or that pending murder, he revokes his bond for the murder case. I don't know how much that was, though. I'm sure it was not cheap. So now he's wanted in Arkansas because he revoked the bail.
Which they will extradite.
Right. So on March 21st, the very next day, the judge finds probable cause, and the bail was increased from 100,000 to 1 million.
Ooh.
Yes. And then order to wear a GPS if released. Now, this is the problem. This is March 21st. Okay. All these charges came in light, all these bail increases, all the GPS, the revoked bond from the previous state is 8 days after Michelle and Layla are missing and reported missing. Remember I said 2 minutes too late? 2 weeks too late. Because
well, unfortunately, that's the problem with technology, right? Now, my brother, he's a detective. I ain't gonna say which state, but his phone actually rings when his people that he arrested in jail rings and lets him know, and it's being recorded, and he can pick it up, listen to the phone call, or he can go back and play it of the conversation. So unfortunately, some departments don't have that technology. Some departments don't even record them, but they monitor the phone numbers coming and going and how long. To see somebody in prison or in jail, you have to show an ID and sign in and sign out. So, I mean, there's so many factors in there, right? So, remember earlier I said a civil lawsuit? So, I think whenever, and this is just my opinion, I could be wrong. I think that once they found out that they were missing, and this is just my thoughts, and if anybody is, what is Lisa said, and that's not a reason. Yeah, let me click that on there. And I think what I'm thinking, and I could be wrong. Don't throw stakes and knives. Don't throw knives and daggers at me. Is that a possibility? Could be is that, oh man, she's missing. District Attorney, we need to speed this process up because I think the judge didn't do this right. I don't think that deputy prosecutor did that right. And now
Chris,
let's speed it up. And
that's my point. He was not issued to wear a GPS bonder until after she was reported missing. His bond was not high enough when he was an extreme risk and stood in front of the court. He did not get charged with those. All those charges were dropped. Regardless if the domestic violence charge was dropped because she didn't press charges, which the state should have picked it up, but did not. Why was he not charged? Why was that case dismissed for the stolen firearm before he tampered with the witness?
Jay, I can show up to your house right now on a domestic domestic disturbance call from your neighbor, and you can have a black eye. And unless you tell me that son of a did it to me, and you're like, no, that's old, which I can tell afresh from an old black eye, unless I can get something in writing or recording on my camera,
But let's say the domestic violence. Let's say for that. But let's say my point is he's a felon who has an open murder.
No, he wasn't. No, he's not a felon.
No, he is. He had felonies from before. Okay. He has an open pending.
Felonies on what?
I don't know, but it said a felon with a stolen firearm, which is another felony.
Okay, that's right.
And
you did.
Now he has an open pending case from 2018 murder case in another state. Let's say he just got pulled over. Okay, he is a felon with another felony murder case pending open. Okay,
doesn't matter.
State, out on bond.
Yeah, don't matter.
Of a stolen firearm.
That does matter.
Why was he not charged with that?
I couldn't tell you. I was in the court of law when the DA charged him.
Because that case was dismissed because his bond was so low, and he was able to post it. It now got to the point where now she's missing, and oh crap, she's missing, and here's an extreme risk of 31 in these reports, and he had a stolen firearm, and this and that. So, oh God, let's have a search warrant now for his car and his home. We find this, and we're going to increase the bond now to $1 million. We're going to revoke the out-of-state judge is going to revoke the bond that he was out on and has gotten in all this trouble. I mean, I think that if you're out on bond, somebody would be, notified but now we're going to do
the department that was doing the charges called the other state and let them know what they had, and that's why they revoked the bond. That's my opinion.
After the search warrant was issued.
Right. Now, this is what I hear every time on a call.
But Grizzly, I love him. He didn't mean to hit me. He was just drunk. He had a rough day. You know, I've been with him for 5 years.
Okay. Now, how many times has this happened?
I get that. But what I'm upset about is what about the other crimes that he was committing?
Alleged crimes.
No, he was caught with a stolen firearm.
I get that.
So he's a felon out on bond in possession of a stolen firearm. Why is he not charged with that until after 2 months after she's missing?
That I don't know. That's one thing we have to look into.
That's my point. So like now all of a sudden now we're gonna come back because she's missing, and we're gonna not only reinstate the charges that were dismissed prior, not only the domestic violence, but also the other ones with the stolen firearm. Okay. We're going to revoke the bond from the other state, and we're going to give them a higher bond. Because you already know the capabilities. And when I say, remember I said in an open murder case, we will go back to that and you'll understand more about what his capabilities are. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, all right. So now they did all this, increases his bond. But now this is what I wanted to ask you, Grizzly. Okay. Because I did not understand this. He, at that time on March 22nd, after the court and he was arrested and they revoked the bond, he did admit that he had a warrant for the Arkansas case, as if it was already proven March 21st, the bond was revoked, as if the law enforcement and the court system wouldn't see, that on the system.
No,
but
they wouldn't.
They wouldn't?
Nope.
Why?
Not unless you run a new background check.
Well, why wouldn't they though in the beginning? Wouldn't they see
because
that?
It's out of state. Nope.
Okay.
So that's why that's why when we arrest somebody, especially on OWI and other charges, if you've been charged with something before, guess what? I can up that misdemeanor to a felony because you've been charged within a time period with 3 years or less or 2 years or less. Now it's a bigger charge. So that's why we run the triple I's to see your history and pattern. And it goes back to years and years, and it should show out of state. Now, it depends on the systems. Everybody does not use the same systems. They should be on a system.
Yes.
If it's a smaller town, that doesn't have money, I don't know what they use, but everybody should be on a computerized system somewhere, a system. But this is where I was talking about with serial killers. That, we can have Jelly Bowl Bob out there in Tennessee slicing and dicing and never get caught, and go to Ohio and do the same thing and accidentally get caught. And we found this out in the Idaho murders. And I said from the get-go, when the guy came out, I said, this guy has done it not only once, but several times. And he just now got caught. And everyone's like, Grizzly, you're so wrong. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm telling you.
And the way he was caught.
Right. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Grizzly's statements came true. Now, I'm not saying I'm big-headed or I'm always right. I just think outside the box. I know patterns. I mean, he was too comfortable.
Yes.
I mean, one person on 6. And the way
his fingerprints weren't even on file. You know how he got caught, right?
Yeah, I do.
Through the ancestry?
Yes.
So it wasn't even his fingerprints. So he was good because there was no fingerprints on file for him, and he had never been arrested for anything for his fingerprints to show up.
He had medical knowledge. He even applied for a job with the police department. I mean, we can go on and on about that case, but yeah. So, oh man, do I had just somebody call me with no caller ID? Is that a hint?
So this is the question I wanted to ask you, is that when he admits that he had the warrant in Arkansas, he refuses. This is what I did not get. I wrote this down. He refuses to waive extradition.
Yes.
To be turned into authorities. So what does that mean exactly?
So basically where he's at now has precedent over the other charges in another state. So basically he can go through this state he's in right now through the trial all that long drawn out mess, then get sentenced. Once he's sentenced, he can serve out that sentence. Then when he's done with that sentence, he can be transferred to that state, be tried, serve another sentence through that state on top of that, and serve that one out.
Okay, because I wasn't for sure exactly what that meant. All right, so now the judge orders that he be held without any bail. Okay, thank you. So we know he's not going to murder anybody else for the time being, right? So then on March 22nd, that same day that he waived the extradition and he was held without bail, the two bodies were what does it say? So why was the key
expedite to Arkansas? What does the key mean?
I don't know.
The
What's
case?
that mean? Oh, probably the case. She wants to know why the case.
No, why he. So basically, whatever state he's in takes precedence over the other one. Now, the state he's in can say, hey, look, we will relinquish our case against him and put it against your case, since your case is a higher case, and we'll deal with him after you deal with him, because most likely we're not going to deal with him because you already got a murder charge. He probably is not going to get out. He's probably going to serve life, which may not be a possibility. He'll probably get out in 5 to 10. However, I'm not a judge or an attorney, so. But yes. So yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. So that same day later, the bodies were discovered of Michelle and Layla. Okay. And it's very sad how a caller was walking her dog.
That's right. I remember that.
And she actually called with a suspicious circumstance. That's what they went out on the call for, because the caller thought they were mannequins. So she didn't go close enough, but it was in a wooded area, and it was right, this is kind of important, right off of the side of the road near an embankment. Okay. So, well, you got to remember that part. So like I said, they did identify them. However, they don't know the cause of death. So this is only 320, they were just discovered. So the pending of death might take a little bit, depending on, when they were murdered and how bad the decomposition, you know how that goes.
Right.
All right. So, so now we'll get to some of the details. I know we're gonna have to save some of it for next week, but let's go. We'll start at, how I keep saying the pending case.
Okay.
So let's go back to 2017. Okay. Now we're strictly dealing with Warren himself. All right. He shoots a passenger, which is his friend. Okay. And the reason why at this point on November 17th of 2017, he claims that he was repeatedly asking for money. Okay. This is part of the excuse that he was repeatedly asking for money. He shoots him with a .22 caliber handgun, and he dumps his body in a ditch off of the highway. Is it sounding familiar?
Yeah, it does. I was trying to see if I had a 22 round sitting around here. 22 caliber round, ladies and gentlemen, is a very small caliber, and it's very painful. I mean, he had been. Where did he get hit with it at? In the head or
in the head? In the head.
Was it more than one shot?
Nope, single gunshot wound to the head.
So it had to be a contact wound, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, because they were in the car. He was driving, Warren was driving, and he was the victim was the passenger.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just assuming this because I know ammunition, I know calibers, I know ballistics. So a 22 would go into your head and bounce around your skull and scramble your brains. I don't know, it sounds kind of graphic, but just giving you some information. Not everybody dies from a 22.
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead.
Okay. So he dumped his body off of the highway in a ditch. Michelle and Layla were found next to an embankment off of the highway in tall grass, like woody trees. woody grass, overgrown grass. So the open pending case, murder case, remember, that was a suspect dump. So same, what's
MO.
Serial killer, okay, usually has, okay, so now this is fitting, right? But he then makes the statement that because his friend kept repeatedly asking for money, he feared for his life. So he shot him. So, yep. So he has not been charged with it, but it is still an open investigation. That is the pending murder case. Okay. So in December that same year, he was arrested for connection with the homicide in November. The friend that he just dumped off after he said he feared for his life. Now, give me 1 second. Let me, this is, I want to find the date. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, while she's finding that's why we do these true crime shows, is to give you the actual facts and knowledge of what's going on that you may not know, and bring things to light. With that being said, please make sure subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us, ladies and gentlemen.
yes.
All the admins and moderators out there in Facebook land, thank you for letting us go live in your group. If you have any suggestions on other cases, there's our email at the bottom of the screen. Email us anytime. Shay, take it away.
I'm just trying to get a date. Okay, you know what? I think I recall it. So November 17th, he dumped his body after shooting him because he was in fear for his life. Now, let's think. I want you guys to think in the back of your head while I'm talking. Jalen Brazier, okay? The case we just talked about, all right? He was reported missing on November 27th, so that was 10 days later. His body was found in the same way right before the beginning of December when he started looking for him. So you killed somebody because you feared for your life, right? That you just dumped his body? Does that make sense? Now we go back to the Jalen thing because you didn't know what to do. You panicked. So you fear for your life. You shot your friend because he was asking for money. But if a person is doing something that they didn't want to do or intentionally, like if somebody came up to my house and I feared for my life and shot him, I would not be rolling him up in a carpet. I would not be putting him in the backyard and burning him in the bonfire. I would call the authorities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you know what the first question law enforcement asked me? Grizzly, why in the world did you fire 2 more times after the suspect was dead laying on the ground? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I watch horror shows. And those sons of buns, they play possum. So I want to make sure that he was not getting up. I'm sorry. I've seen too many times where they think they're dead and they're not, and they get killed. So that's my theory.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, like if you had to shoot somebody because you fear for your life, you're driving. Like if you're driving and you're fearing for your life, did you pull over? Did you shoot him? But I would not dump the person and just go, because what it sounds like? All the technology today, you find a hair fiber, a car fiber, like anything, a gun. You're putting yourself more at risk to be charged or a person of interest than if you were just to pull over and call the authorities and say, I fear for my life. He was attacking me, whatever. But who you fear for, like, there's panhandlers that are asking for money.
You know what it sounds
like?
Shoot them? Well, let's flip this. Let's put a wild perspective on this. So you and I are driving and we're good buddies. I owe you lots of money, right? Mm-hmm. And you turn around and you're going to reach for a gun because I'm not going to pay you, and you're going to waste me. I know you're going to waste me. I'll beat you to the punchline.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Because I mean, you're not gonna pick up front of them. I mean, come on. Why are you just repeatedly ask you for money? You know,
Well,
there's a backstory somewhere.
well, officer, I owe this guy like $15,000. I stole. I didn't bring his dope money to him. I stole the dope and the money, and he was going to whack me for it. So I went ahead and whacked him because I know he was going to. Yeah, that does not look good.
Right.
I'm not saying, ladies and gentlemen, Grizzly is not saying that actually did occur. I'm just saying that we can flip it and saying that is a possibility. Everybody lies about stuff when they do a murder or they kill somebody allegedly. You know, there's a reason behind. There's always a motive. I mean, you're not going to be just driving down the road and be like, "Hey, buddy, bam!" You know, for no reason, and stop the car and drag the body out on the side of the road. I mean,
well, right, and you recall, and you might recall things a little bit different. But to me, if I did it and I didn't want to do it, I had to do it, or it was in like an action, I would definitely want, like, I would call and tell them, because you're just the body's going to be found. I mean, you didn't dispose of it another way. You didn't take matters in your own hand and make sure it's separated or anything. You dumped it on the side of the road. So at some point, it will be discovered, and you're putting yourself out at more risk than you are to just call the authorities, report it, tell them what happened. But now you have a case 6 years later that, okay, it shows violence, right? You showed violence then. You dumped 2 bodies on the side of the road, and you dumped your friend on the side of the road. So if you admit, so going back to last week, Grizzly, an admission, correct? Not a confession, an admission, right? Okay, so you admitted to doing this because you fear for your life. You're not going to hesitate to be under suspicion for shooting your girlfriend who you abused and her daughter. If you were, you know what I mean? Like, that's
like I saying, there's more to the story. You know, I really do believe that. We're going to dive deep on that. Lisa asked, the minute the police had him in custody, why didn't they send him back to Arkansas? To me, I don't think the police knew right away. Because if they would have called him up like, "Hey, man, we got your dude over here. You want him extradited? Send a deputy sheriff over here and pick his booty up and transport him." Or you had the district attorney who's like, "We ain't letting him go, man. We got him on charges and we're going to stick it to him." And it didn't work out and they fumbled the ball or whatever happened. I'm not saying they did. Okay. So I don't want to give the wrong impression, but there's 2 different avenues to look at that way. And depends on who's running the district attorney's office and how arrogant they can be and want to set a precedence. Oh man, you know, we got somebody important. Let's showcase this. And I mean, who knows? Yes, that is a possibility. And they could have piggy-tailed later with their charges. Yes, I agree with you, Lisa. Absolutely. So, but you know, riding down the road and you're fear for your life and you pop somebody in the head with a 22 caliber, which is a small round. Yeah, I think he's going to be whacked because he owed somebody dope or money or both or something. Something wasn't right.
Yeah, there's definitely a backstory there.
Yeah, it has to be.
Especially because he was already a felon, supposedly. So, you know, but now we're going with the same MO 6 years later, and it's still an open, you know, pending case. But you didn't call anybody. You dumped his body. He was reported missing, and then once he was found, it goes back to you, and then that's when you said that you fear for your life, and now we're going back to again.
Well, why did you fear for your life? You know, that's
because
my
he kept
question.
asking for money. That was the whole thing. He kept asking me for money, so I was in fear for my life.
Well, why was he asking you for money? Do you owe him money?
Exactly. That's
how much money do you owe him?
And for what?
You know, was it dope money?
Yeah, and for what?
See, I would get down and dirty. I would just come straight out and ask him. Knee to knee, eyeball to eyeball, nose to nose.
But remember that it's still an open investigation, so they're not going to release everything they have.
Right.
So,
right.
You know what I mean? They probably know, or a couple of different theories like you have, you know, but with the public, but because it's still an open investigation, but how it must be wide open because 5 years later, he's still walking around applying for handguns and, you know, doing drive-bys and assaulting and, you know, and like, what is going on here? What's truly going on?
Or it could be another person, ladies and gentlemen, that's actually working for the feds or the DEA as a snitch and busting out some drug dealers and some gun smugglers. Who knows?
I don't think he is because of what he's being charged for now with the Mache and Layla.
Well, let me tell you something.
Maybe he was.
I've known
Maybe
people
he was.
that is, there we go. That's the perfect way to say it. Yeah.
Maybe he was, but then, I mean, how can you overlook the overwhelming evidence?
Yeah.
And the same MO that the murder case from, you know, the 2017.
Because I called my head prosecutor before. I'm like, what am I going to do if my CI, that is a confidential informant, snitch, ladies and gentlemen. Now in our state, they had to do 2 or 3 transactions to make him a valid confidential informant. They had to sign a contract and all this other BS and to make them official. I mean, you just don't pick some out of the street and go, hey, go up there and buy a bag of weed for me or some pills. That's not how it works. Okay. Usually you bust them. Then you're like, hey, look, man, you go, you know, you help me out. I help you out. And you go for the bigger fish. And sometimes your little CI gets their booty in trouble. And what do? You go down to the jail and pick them up, get them out. And then at a point in time, you're like, hey, you know, how many times do you gonna let me pick them out of jail? And you give them the God, you know, conversation. I cannot bail you out anymore, man. I mean, you're gonna be on your own next time you get picked up. And when you do get picked up by an officer, don't say, well, I work for Grizzly. I'm like, wow. I mean, cops talk, ladies and gentlemen. You know, don't tell you who you work for. Don't let anybody know. Just when you make your phone call, call me. That's all you got to do, or whoever you work for. So yeah, so it's amazing. I mean, you have come up with some great cases. I mean, I really like to learn more.
Announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government.
Stop, because then we can go move further into the prior case and then dwell into the recent case and what's transpiring with that.
Oh yeah, yes. So next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have the psychics on the show talking about the first case. What they're going to say, I have no idea. It's going to be very interesting. So I can't wait for that. So make sure, like, subscribe, and follow us. Email us at grizzlytruecrimes@gmail.com. Both of us have access to it. Feedback, comments, any other cases you want us to put on radar.
Yes, for sure.
More than happy to. I mean, we're here for you guys. I mean, this is what you want. This is what you asked for. Who knows? You know, we shall seek the truth one way or another. We're not saying every law enforcement officer is a bad guy. We're not saying every judge is crooked.
I stand behind
people make mistakes, you know. So I'm really curious who called me from a blocked number.
It was me.
Whoever's was it? Whoever's out there, I know you're watching. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure if I do not come back on the show, they do a talk screen and play this video back.
And if I come back solo, nobody's gonna say anything, right?
Nah, they probably won't miss me at all, right? But now, if you come up solo, I'm screaming bloody murder. I got it all on audio and video. But hey, man, things happen. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but very interesting show. Thank you, Lisa, Brenda, and everybody out there watching. Like I said, please like us, follow us, and subscribe us on YouTube so that we don't miss any of our series that we're doing. It's going to get really deep next week. Anything else you have, Shay?
No, I can't wait till next week. I'm excited.
Oh, I am too. I am too. So, ladies and gentlemen, from coast to coast and around the world, unfortunately, it's that time again. We'll see here next week at same time, same place. I can't wait. I love these types of shows.
I know.
You never know. I love my co-host too. It's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take care. Good night. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
See you next week.
Absolutely. Toodalooms.
Toodaloo. Bye.